My name is William Thomas Bohannon. I grew up in a small town called Noonan, Georgia. That's a small city. Well, it's not that small. About 20 minutes south of the airport. I remember being homeschooled by my mom till 5th grade. I hated school. But when you homeschool, you're not working from 7 to 3:30. That's not how it works. So in 5th grade, I started going to regular school, and that's when my eyes were open to the evil in the world. I remember moving to Noonan, and I remember when my parents started having issues and the separation happened. I remember feeling, my dad was more so the authority in the house. So once he was gone, it was like this weight fell off me, and I just felt free to just, I don't know, like I could just do whatever I wanted. And, going to school was tough. It was definitely interesting getting bullied for the first time, having people talk about your shoes and your clothes and your haircut, and it just seemed like, man, why people don't like me, why people don't accept me as I am. And naturally I began to do the most, trying to fit in and be liked, be popular. And that became, I think for every kid, we look for acceptance. But just going through high school, I started playing sports, started playing basketball, getting popular. And in my neighborhood, there were a lot of just gangs and violence and drugs. And I was an athlete, so me and my friends, we were like, we're going to stay away from drugs, we're going to stay away from all that stuff. And, we going to the league, we're going to the NBA. But then we began to see more realistically that, man, we're not going to the NBA, man. That's not about to happen. And my freshman year in college is when I really just was totally free from any responsibility, any kind of accountability. And I just started living how I wanted to live, doing what I wanted to do. And you start experimenting with drugs, and I'm going out to the clubs, and I'm drinking, I'm talking to girls, and it's almost like I was still, going to class, doing my thing, but one night, just in the wrong place at the wrong time, a young lady came up to me trying to get a ride home from this party, and she was saying stuff like, these guys, getting a little handsy, a little touchy-feely, and I don't feel comfortable, so I'm trying to do the right thing and just give her, a ride home. And I think at this point in my life, it's like I knew God, I knew who He was, but He just wasn't my focus. He wasn't that voice in my head that shaped all my decisions. I think that I was more so just doing what I wanted to do. And so these girls get in the car, these guys get mad, they kick in my car. It was a crazy night. And, I was from the streets, so I wasn't scared to fight or nothing. So I'm trying to hop out the car and assess the situation. And my homie speeds off because he's scared. I won't say he was scared. He was probably being smart, just trying to escape. So we speed off. I tell the girls, hey, just walk down the street. We'll pick y'all up, take y'all home, blah, blah, blah. And that's what they did. So I went back to my dorm room. I remember to get a cigar because I smoked weed. So I wanted to get this cigar so I could, And so came back outside to the car. The girl's still in the car. My homie's still in the car. And it's just 100 dudes surrounding the vehicle, and I'm like, man, what the heck is going on? What do y'all want? And I remember stuff just got crazy. Next thing I know, I'm running down the street trying to escape these dudes that want to fight me. I thought it was like 20, 30 people, but an eyewitness was like, nah, bro, it was like 100 people out there. And back then, I was just a flashy dude, man. You know, I had the golds and the rose gold teeth and the big chains and the watches and the earrings and the long dreads. And I was a hip-hop artist, and I had that whole aura of arrogance that I carried, you know, just walking around like, you know, I'm better than you. And these guys were just jealous, you know, and they literally said it like, you know, we see you, blah, 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 and we got money too, and blah, blah, blah. It was just a weird night. But that night I had a gun on me that I was pulling pranks on people. The gun didn't even work, man. It was around Halloween, and I was just pranking folks, playing. But I had it on me that night for some reason, so I'm running from like 100 people. I know I'm about to get the life beat out of me, so I was like, man, bump it. Pull out this pistol, held it by my side, like, hey, y'all, chill out, man. I don't want no issue. I don't want no problem. I just want to go home. And, you know, of course, they take off running. And I knew somebody was going to go run, get a real gun. So I hoped that by that time I'll be able to escape. And I was saying, like, look, I'm not aiming at nobody. I'm not trying to shoot nobody. I don't want to hurt nobody. I just want to go home. And when I got back in the car, I remember just we riding away. And I talk about this in my song, Know Me. I remember hearing God speak to me, probably I wouldn't say for the first time, but it was a real moment. And it was like, you need to duck because somebody's about to try to kill you. And I remember ducking down and reaching over, pulling my friend down, and those shots rang out. 3 shots went through the car. I'm supposed to be dead. And I put that in the song one time too. And I remember the windows busting out and bullets flying everywhere. And, you know, it was a real experience, man. Somebody trying to take your life. It was my first time. It wasn't my first time being shot at, of course not. But it was my first time being the only target, the designated target of this fire. And police pull us over. They see the car shot up. I go to jail. I get charged with assault because I think I had body slammed some dude before I ran off. And I had a gun on me. Concealed weapon on school property, even though the gun wasn't even functioning, it was charged as a real weapon. And, you know, my lawyer had to hire a lawyer, got everything dropped. Well, it didn't really get dropped. It just never went to court or whatever. And now it's all expired. So my record's clean, praise God. I can get a job after the hip hop career is over. I went to jail that night, and I remember sitting in there thinking like, man, how in the world I went from being a homeschool church kid to in a full-blown, almost getting my life taken, pulling out guns. And, you know, when I got out of jail, I thought, you know, I would have this jail conversion. I thought I had found God in jail, but got out of jail, got worse, got kicked out of school, got expelled, started working as, I ain't gonna say where I was working, but I was working in a restaurant. And man, my life just kept going down the drain. My started selling weed, started selling crack, got in the game, and I just remember these guys, like, they really had my back. Like, these dudes would lay their life out for me. And it was real. Like, we would fight people, we would scare people, we would rob people. And in the back of my mind, I was like, man, I'm not like y'all, man. I'm really just a church kid. But I had failed so far from God that fear just had overtook me, and I just knew I was gonna die. Like, every night I would go out to some party, some club. It's always a fight, always somebody shooting. And I said, man, one of these days I'm gonna catch a slug. And I used to wear a bulletproof vest everywhere I went. Under my clothes, I always had on my vest. Like, and it was weird. Like, man, I got a bulletproof vest. I had Desert Eagle handgun, 25 handgun. I had, riding around in my old school, living this life that just wasn't who I knew I was deep down. And one night, now you gotta understand, as a kid, I was very known in the community. I was a Boys and Girls Club Youth of the Year for Atlanta. I was a presidential scholar, Hope Scholar. I had scholarships out the wazoo when I went to college. I was like a good, what you would call a good kid, a successful person. And I just saw Satan just come and just totally rob me of my future, and I felt like, man, I'm gonna be a failure. And one night I was in the back of my car, I was high out my mind, probably drunk at the same time. And I told my two homies, I said, man, one day you just stop. We had this term called trimming. Trimming is when you just wasting time. You just lollygagging around, not really handling your business. You just chilling. And I said, man, one day you just stop trimming, man. You just gotta change. And I remember coming home every night and I would just pray to God, like, help me to change, God. Change my desires. Make me want to do what's right. Change my heart. I kept praying, high, drunk, didn't care. Praying. And I was 18 years old. And on my 19th birthday, I told myself, I said, when I turn 19, I'm just going to make a shift. I'm just going to switch up everything. And I remember I was going to visit my uncle in Augusta, Georgia. And in the back of his car, I prayed to God. And I said, no, I was talking to Satan. Now that I think about it, I told the devil, I said, Satan, I'm taking control of my life away from you. And I'm giving it to Jesus. I'm giving it to Christ. And I said, Jesus, take control of my life. I give it to you. And gave it to him. And after that, I was doing the music stuff at the same time. And so the music I was making was not Christian. I was in a group with two guys. We had a group called Entourage. Never really told people that before. Yeah. And these guys, we had won this competition, this music video competition, and we flew out to LA for this recording opportunity. We was in the same studio as like J-Lo, Black Eyed Peas, a bunch of folks, man. It was a cool situation. But when I got out there, I had already changed up everything. They saw me kind of switch up my whole demeanor. And they knew something was up with me, but I was still making the songs, but I was conflicted. And I remember the night before we were supposed to go in the studio and record our demo, I was sitting on the beach, Venice Beach, California, and I said, God, I can't walk away from all this, man. I just can't, My manager took us to Beverly Hills. We ran through all these mountains. She's showing us these houses, cars. We seeing all these Ferraris and Lamborghinis and Maseratis, and I'm like, man, I can finally have something if I just go in here. And she even said, like, hey, y'all can rap about this stuff, but you don't need to be doing this stuff no more. You need to be like legit living clean so you stay out of jail and we can make some money. But I just felt so fake. I felt like, man, like, is that how I want to be? Is that how I want to be? Lead my little brothers and my family and all my friends to destruction while I get rich in LA in a mansion. And that night I went in the hotel in this penthouse suite on the beach, and I said, man, I can't do this no more. I was in tears. I was weeping. I said, I can't do this no more. I'm done. I quit. And I got on the airplane and I came home. They went in the studio, they recorded, but I was over it. And so when I started doing music, I was done with music, period. But God, like the Holy Spirit was like, you can do this for me. Like, you can make you can make songs about your real life and what you're doing now. So that's what I started doing. I started making songs about how difficult it was to be a Christian, how hard it was to really live out this new life. And my college let me come back, and I was just known as that local positive Christian rapper dude. And then I ended up getting a record deal for it right when I graduated. Toured, went all over the world. And you know, a lot of people say, you know, before I started doing the Christian music, they were like, man, God gonna bless you because you walked away from that stuff and you walked away from that money and blah, blah, blah. But I was like, man, the blessing is knowing Jesus. The blessing is knowing Christ. I am blessed whether or not, if I'm broke for the rest of my life and I get to go to heaven, like I won life. So now as an artist, my heart is to really go back and be a light where I was once a little devil running around doing the most. So that's just a little bit of my story, man. I look at the music industry now, and I've had deals and all these things come, and people have always tried to, you know, make money off of my talent, you know, all in the name of Jesus. But my whole goal now is, man, let's do some real outreach. Let's really reach the block. Let's really reach the inner city. Let's really take the gospel to these people. And that's kind of what I'm about. You know, that's what Dirty Work Ministries is about. We are about taking the truth of God to these places where there is no money. There's nothing's going to be made in the trap with the gospel, you know. So my prayer is that churches would know, like, I'm here for the street. You know, I'm not here really to be an entertainer. I've tried that. I've had success. I've had Billboard topping songs. You know, I've done a lot, you know, but my heart, man, is for the people. Even when I didn't even have a name, when I first found out about Christian hip hop, I always felt like my job is to go to these little hole in the wall churches. And, you know, you got the popular Christian rappers that are, you know, God has put them in that place to do those things. But I want to go where the churches can afford the superstar Christian. I want to go where I want to be able to go anywhere God leads, you know. And I don't want money to be the reason a church can't bring me out. So that's why I do shows at the price level I do. That's why I'm willing to drive so far to do a couple songs, because, man, my life is blessed, man. In my community, to make it out and really make it out, man. And to be a rapper and actually be successful and not be dead or in prison, like, it's miraculous. Where I'm from. See, that's a sign. Anyway, man, I'm out. Y'all be blessed. Peace.